This is Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY. It's sponsored by Independent Bank. Katy Huckle is my co-host. And Katy, over the 2.75 years that we have been doing this show, we've done a lot for to help promote the Footliters. And we're doing it again today because they're doing such great work in the community.
Oh, they are. They are the shining stars of the community, the glitz, the glamour. And of the Footlighter group, we have the dream team in the studio with us today.
We do.
We do.
Jay Simon, we have Kelli Simons, and Joe Baumann, who is the president of the Footlighters.
Welcome.
And we've got a show to talk about.
Yes, let's hear about this show, Joe.
We sure do. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having us. As always, we appreciate the support in the community and from your show. We appreciate it very much. But we're doing 39 Steps. Opens on the 23rd, and it is a show based off of a Hitchcock movie from the 1930s. Now, this sounds really either scary or boring or all of the above.
Scary.
Yeah, there you go. But this is a comedy.
Okay.
And so he took a book with 50, 60 characters and made it a movie with 50 or 60 characters. And then another set of writers turned it into a play with 4 people. So 4 people are playing essentially 60 characters, which is pretty neat. Kelly plays 3 women. One, Evan Hooker, plays one gentleman, and then Jay and his counterpart play about 30 different people.
So I said, Rich, and I think this is a fair question to Joe, how come Jay has all the difficult parts? All the memorization, the line load.
You wouldn't happen to be playing a play-by-play football announcer in part of this, would you? Is that one of the roles you do not play in this?
Wait a minute, I want my question answered. Okay, go ahead.
I abandoned that this season, actually, right? So Gary's taken that over. No,
okay.
I don't. I just enjoy this stuff. I love character acting. I love being somebody other than me or a normal person. So, and this is, I remember hearing about this show from Joe a few years back when he brought it up and talked about it as something he wanted to bring to Cadillac. And when he told me that there were 2 people that played at the time, we both thought it was way more, but it's still a lot of people with different accents and different looks and all this stuff. I was in heaven. I was like, when are we doing that show? That sounds fantastic. So it's exciting. John Barry is my counterpart. Our character title is Clowns. We're both clowns, but we basically we're often seen together as a pair, and we fill out the show. Evan Dale Hooker plays Richard Hannay, the main character of the show, who all this stuff is happening to. Kelly plays 3 different women with 3 different accents that he interacts with throughout the show, all semi-love interests, I guess, to a certain extent, right? In various stages of love interest. And John and I play everybody else that sort of surrounds them, from, random salesmen to old ladies to police officers to the main villain and his wife. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been cool.
So question for all 3 of you, because you've all 3 played so many different roles in your career, and they're all still pretty young. They're younger than us. You need to know that, sir.
I don't know, Jay. We're off. You and I are awfully close, and I'm not going to tell on Katy. But
I'm pretty sure you just joined my demographic this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 52.
Yeah.
Did you get to 52 before I did?
I am 52. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I am not 52, gentlemen.
You're nowhere close. Right.
Okay.
We needed to make sure that was clear.
Let's stay on point.
Okay.
The question is to all 3 of you, please. Do you, when you leave a role, big, small, whatever, are you just done with it, or does that character have a place in your world still, or do you say goodbye to them?
So I mostly say goodbye, but there's always a phrase that will come up that will just trigger that character immediately.
Okay.
And it will take me right back. And if anybody's around me that was in the show with me, I'll be like, hey, you remember that? Or songs or something that will, they're all there. They're always there, and they're all really fond memories. So yeah, when something triggers that memory, I'm like right back there.
Okay. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I think the same is true for me. Many of my best memories in the last 30 years have been on stage. And so for me, I can remember a moment, I can remember a feeling, I can remember a song, I can remember how I felt at that time. To me, that's why theater is so powerful, both to see it, but to be in it and to be part of somebody else's life in a different role, to me is, it's always there. What's funny is I love getting to the end of a character, because during the last show, I actually tell myself, well, that's the last time you'll say those words. That's the last time you'll say those words.
Is that right?
I can forget these words right now.
You're gonna let the line load go.
Exactly.
But you're not gonna let the character go.
Exactly.
Oh, how about Jay?
Well, I want to be a contrarian now and say, no, I dump them all. They're gone. I don't remember anything. But that's not true. What they both said is true of me as well, especially the specific line triggering a memory or triggering, and what's really funny is when you're with somebody who was in that show with you and you say something and it triggers them to remember their line, and the next thing you know, you're reenacting it for the next 30 seconds, then you both stop and say, whoa, but...
and you're in a public place in a restaurant. And
yes,
people are going,
yeah, exactly.
What's happening right
Well,
now?
They're not a quiet group, by the way. No.
That's when you just stop and you go, Footliters! And you just hope that they all go to your website and look up the next show.
So when you guys go to other communities, and I know that you've auditioned in other communities and landed big roles in other communities, what would you say the perception outside of Cadillac is now today for Footlighters?
No, that's a Joe question.
Okay.
That's a tough question. I'm not sure there is a huge reputation outside of Cadillac, partially because our reach isn't as broad as I want to make it.
Okay.
Frankly, bringing people into Cadillac is a side benefit of having community theater. I think it's valuable to our kids, to our adults, to our patrons who come see it, but it's valuable to our businesses around us who need patrons to visit and have drinks beforehand and have dinner. We keep seeing certain failures of restaurants because they don't have enough people or enough workers. I think if we can, part of our mission is to grow that reputation. And I think it is growing as they see other people. Jay's done a few things in Traverse City. I've done a few shows in Traverse City. And they've come, now that spreads their love for us, and then they come to Cadillac to see our shows. And so I think there's definitely been some reputation improvement and growth. It's not where I want it to be, certainly, and where I think this town deserves it to be.
Okay.
And I think also when you were talking about the youngsters, I think there's more outreach going on for the Footlighters to the youth in the community than has been the case before.
There's a great example of that, Rich, in that the high school today and yesterday were auditioning for Rock of Ages. It's their high school musical at CAPS. They had 44 kids pre-register. So who knows how many actually total showed up. But that's not Footlighters. We don't get the credit, and nor should we. But that just shows that there is an improvement on both sides, that Cadillac is big enough to have more than 44 on one hand, and two, but now we're seeing a feeder group that's starting in our juniors program and building a love for it that Kelly saw when she directed Puffs this summer in particular.
Momentum.
Yeah,
it is.
Yep, and it's fun. I've got I actually have two of your cast members in my class at the CTC, and they loved that experience, Kelly. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I have to brag a little bit about Kelly because her son Mark is at Interlaken, and it's a big, big deal, Rich.
The last time I saw Mark, he was working at Cone Liquors.
Yeah, well, I happen to know he's a very talented man, and he's going to go big time. You're going to see his name in lights, Rich.
For sure. For sure.
Okay. Kelly, who is your three women? And I don't want to spoiler alert here, so you can correct me if you don't want to say. Who's your favorite?
Oh, that's fun. So they're all so drastically different.
Okay.
I think my favorite would be Margaret. Okay. She's right in the middle, and she's a little more demure than the other ones. The other ones are a little bolder and more confident, and she's Scottish, actually. Oh. And she's just fun to play.
Okay. And Jay, how about, can we know, you've got 29 characters. I mean, I'm sure it's hard to choose, but.
I think it's only 13.
Oh, okay. It's the other guy that's got there. Okay.
No, he's got like a dozen.
Okay.
So. There's a bunch that are fun for various small reasons. One of those 13 only has 2 lines, so it's not like there's your length of time. But I do have the honor of playing the main villain, who is a lot of fun to play. So that's a cool piece. I can't tell you anything about him, but I can tell you though that the villain will be wearing a piece of clothing formerly owned by our very own Pat Goggin.
Awesome.
Yes. So
Okay.
keep your eye out for that.
Okay. Oh, I love
Probably obvious.
it. Joe, business question. You know, you guys, you do some fundraising, but like we use that word momentum. I feel like, yes, we need to promote your shows, but everybody knows it's going to be quality. Everybody knows it's going to be an A game. So for the community, can you explain, how does the Footliters fund itself?
Well, I love that you say everybody believes it's going to be our A game. That is honestly the mission each and every time. And to keep that quality level up takes volunteers and takes energy. And it's always my worry as both the president and this time as the director of the show to keep up that level of quality, so that, because it takes you a long time to build it, it takes you no time to lose it.
It's true.
And we fund our shows out of the quality and success of previous shows, but also support of our business community and our membership throughout the community. We actually started a Pat Goggin level of membership. His birthday was July 13th, so it's $713 to be a Pat Goggin member.
Nice.
Something that we think he would have loved very much to be known as, and to see added money come to the Footlighters because of that. But it's probably equally funded by donations as well as, and we're hoping for more grants. And actually this weekend we're renewing and kind of revising our strategic mission and vision for where we're going, where we've been and where we're going. And so I think all of those things come together in building that reputation around town, that hopefully all they need to know is that there is a show and they should go see it.
Can you talk about what those revisions are, or is that secret?
We actually haven't gotten to it yet. We're doing the work on Saturday.
Okay.
So
It's a retreat.
Oh,
because
gotcha.
one of my besties was supposed to go away with me, and this took precedence, I'll have you know.
I appreciate that
And
very
as
much.
It should. Yeah. But so corporate sponsors, when you say member, how does someone become a supporter and member?
What's great is we actually just moved to a new donation side of our website, which is great and easier, and you get your tax receipt much faster. But you go to CadillacFootlighters.com, it'll send you to our new website, and there are different levels, and there are
Okay.
different benefits that come with it, all the way from $15 as a person who just wants to be known as a member, all the way up to a premier sponsor who gets a certain number of free tickets and that sort of thing. Just different ways to get involved and be part of the success.
And for folks that maybe don't want to act or try out, you mentioned volunteers. You're talking about set work, ticket take. Can you explain what
Yes.
other role outside of being an actor? What a volunteer?
There's a phrase that a lot of theaters use. There's a role for everyone.
Okay,
And
I like it.
It's just a question of what your role could be.
Okay.
Do you want to do sound? Do you want to do lights? Honestly, right now as director, I'm doing the lights. I help design the sound. I cast the show. I'm doing the acting direction. So we can use people who even want to learn these pieces. I'm frankly just an amateur. I'm trying each and every time to learn something new, and I could teach it to somebody else. But if you want to get in touch with us at info@CadillacFootlighters.com, I'll hook you up with the next show that's happening, which won't actually be until our big fundraiser in January, Tony and Tita's wedding. So,
Nice. Ooh, that's going to be big.
yes.
Tony and Tina's wedding.
Speaking of which, obviously the Cadillac Auditorium is going to be undergoing some renovations. So, are the shows going to be moving off to the Ellenboss Auditorium in McBain, or what's the plan for the calendar year 2023 while the auditorium is under reconstruction?
That's a really great question, Rich. If we had a really great answer, I'd give it to you. Okay. Honestly, this is an opportunity. It's a lot of work, but it's an opportunity to try new things. There's a new event space right at Charming North, on Mitchell Street, that we're kind of excited about. So if the folks who are involved with it, you'll be getting a call from us soon. We've got some small shows planned, so we'd like to try some more small venues, maybe special event, liquor license, that sort of environment. But then we want to go back to Ellenboss for Matilda is our spring musical this year. It's a big musical with lots of people, and hopefully can have, if not the same level of success, because nothing will, as Mamma Mia last year. We do plan to return as long as they'll have us.
Okay.
What a gorgeous venue that was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Mr. Ellenboss loves the arts, and did a great job with that building out there. Yeah.
So all of these, when I say A players and A team and dream team, I'm not kidding, Rich. I've done theater with these people. What would happen if a director said to you, I just have to throw this out. A director said to you, I know you wanted to be this person, but instead you're going to be the janitor or a bush, or I mean, how does an A-teamer respond to something like that, Kelly? Kelly.
Fair enough. No,
It
actually,
never happened to her.
no, it has. It has.
Okay, really? Okay, no, I believe
No,
you.
right. It has when I've gone for a particular role and gotten something much smaller. But, I think there's that moment when you're like, when you get the call and you have a disappointment and you think, oh, I don't know. I'm not feeling so good about this show. And then you start rehearsing, and then you start understanding that every role has such value. Mm-hmm. And then you go through the rehearsal process, and then by the time the show closes and you think, well, now I only see that person in that role, the other person the role that I was hoping for. And I've kind of fallen in love with this smaller role. And I think each role, as I said, it's vital to the show. It's so important that everybody knows that size of role is not what's valuable. It's everybody contributing together. Otherwise, there's no show. I think one of the great successes in Mamma Mia was the fact that everybody on stage contributed so much. I mean, I had comment after comment about some people when you sit a little further back and you just look across the stage and you see engaged people from stage left to stage right, and that's what makes a show. So you could be standing at the front and, that's fun. Mm-hmm. But it's fun to be in the middle, and it's fun to be in the back, and it's fun to be on the side, and it's all important.
Yeah, the energy that night when I was there was electrifying, and it's exactly to what you say. Everybody was on.
Yes.
It was like someone flipped a switch. So another question, and whoever wants to answer it, but how many rehearsals until you start having those feelings of this is all clicking, this is all coming together, and now all of a sudden we're a team, and it's not just does that person have their lines memorized, but all of a sudden this is rolling.
So let's see. If we open on a Friday, it's usually that Wednesday, right? I wish I was kidding.
Okay.
It's funny. John Barry, my counterpart as a clown, and I were talking about this before rehearsal on Monday night. We've just gotten some of the bigger pieces, the props. We're rehearsing in a smaller space. We're not over at the high school yet. We won't be until Sunday. So we're working in a smaller environment, but we had some of the props, and so we're kind of adjusting to that and such. Kelly alluded to that. And I could see in John's face kind of the overwhelmingness of it all. I mean, John's an experienced actor. It's been a while, but he's been on stage before. It's his first time with Footliters, but he's done some shows before down in the Grand Rapids area. And I don't know what his experience has been like with that. I've only done things with, acting with Footliters. I've done some voice acting with OTP, but it's just been on a stage with Footliters. And I said, this happens every time. It feels like it's never going to quite come together. Mm-hmm. And then we get in the space and we get the pieces in place. And that Tuesday, you go through the show and it's like, oh, this is okay. Uh-huh. And then all of a sudden, you're rolling. And by the time you get to Thursday, you're excited. So the dress rehearsal feels fantastic. Although Joe has always taught me, you don't want dress rehearsal to go perfectly. You want to save that for opening night. So you want something to go wrong on Thursday, apparently. Yes. But yeah, it's late. So how many rehearsals? A lot of rehearsals.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you agree with that, Joe?
Yes, I certainly do. And it's actually... I've done 50 plus shows in the 30 years of acting, and Cadillac has the routine of doing a lot fewer rehearsals than every other place I've ever acted in.
Is that right?
Why is that? Just busy people? Or?
Yeah, I think probably at some point it came down to the number of actors available and trying to reduce the scope of the time they had to spend to get enough people to do a show.
That's that is a balance, isn't it? To try to come up with a show where everything looks like a well-oiled machine and yet still allowing your actors to have a life outside.
As the director of this show, I can agree, Rich. Everything is coming along great. It's about 40% less rehearsal time though than I've ever had. And so in every other theater I've worked with. And so you don't see a 40% difference. I will be the first one to tell you that. But you see a difference, and you feel a difference in how comfortable you are on the Monday of Tech Week when you think, as Jay said, this isn't ever coming together. And then it does. It's theater magic, and people who are committed to something together and the community that comes together to surround it and that cares about even imperfect theater being the beautiful thing that it is really what we're putting together.
So it also, when you, of course, I didn't know this about 40%, less time. Doesn't that put more responsibility on you and what you owe your castmates in terms of memorization and being prepared, Kelly?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So coming to rehearsal prepared with lines memorized we have chunks, we're off book for this portion, we're off book for this portion, and if you come prepared, things just go much more smoothly.
So when Kelly says off book, folks, what that means is no script. Mm-hmm. You're going without a script. You better know it, because there's no way to. Isn't that true?
It's totally true. But I'll tell you, some of my best fun on stage has been when something goes wrong.
Okay.
And you see the look on people's faces with you on stage, and they realize something is wrong. You realize something is wrong, and then you try to figure out how you're going to fix it. And to do it live in front of people, and then afterwards, people say, "Oh, there was something wrong? We didn't have any idea."
Okay, I wanted to say, does the audience know that something was wrong?
One of my favorite stories of leaving Iowa, it was myself and Kelly and essentially 2 other people on stage most of the time. And at one point, it's just me, and everybody else is frozen. I'm in the light. I forget what's next. I have no clue what scene is next. I have to give the next line. It is time to move on. So instead of the next line, I just said, I looked over, nobody's moving. They knew something was wrong, and all I said was, well, it's time to go.
So when he says leaving Iowa, that was the show. They weren't actually leaving Iowa. But yeah, right. Oh my gosh, no kidding? Yes. How come I never heard about that? That's a really good one. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but favorite role you've ever played, Jay? Favorite role?
Jeez. I'd probably have to say Willy Wonka, only because that's my wife's favorite. So,
and she's wonderful.
I've loved everything I've done with Footliters, from playing 7 background characters in my very first show to playing Sam and Mamma Mia, a role I didn't think I would be playing. I loved all of them, but if I had to pick one, that'd be the one, because my wife loved that. So her favorite show.
Awesome. How about you?
That's hard not to pick Donna and Mamma Mia. Of course, that was the most recent too, but that was just a show that was just so much fun to be a part of, and so many wonderful people and new people to Footliters. It was just exciting from beginning to end. So it would have to be that. My second, though, can I pick a second one?
Absolutely.
So that was a musical. The straight play would be Judy in A Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which I played with. Jay and Joe were both in it, but my son Mark played the lead in that show, and it was really special to be on stage with him. And it was just kind of a serious and unique show, and I really appreciated the time we spent on that one.
Mark was amazing.
It was the launch of Mark, in my opinion, right there. So, Joe, how about you?
Oh, gosh. I hate and love this question so much, because I could spend like 30 minutes, and I think Kelly and I have spent days talking about this.
Sure.
What show would you like to do again? And then there's different categories: serious part, musical, funny. The most fun for me is to be silly, and that's actually what my mother loves most to watch me do. She hates watching me in serious roles, or she doesn't hate it, but she much prefers to see like Addams Family when I was Gomez, or Young Frankenstein where I was Frankenstein. Those are probably among my favorites. There's a beautiful show out there written by Aaron Sorkin. It's called The Farnsworth Invention. It's about the invention of television. And I got to play Philo Farnsworth in Lansing, Michigan about 10 years ago. And that probably is my top role, just because that show is so different. Nobody's ever seen it, and very few probably will again. But it's incredible, incredible.
So is that your favorite?
Yeah, I would probably say so. Yeah.
Is it possible, because I've met your mother, is it possible that because your day job is so serious and so corporate that she likes to see you in a lighter role? I shouldn't say lighter role.
No,
having
that's
fun.
A fair question.
Okay.
I think that this is not to get morbid about it. My father passed away a number of years ago. Okay. When I get to be funny and big on stage, it reminds her of him.
Okay.
And so I get to be like my dad. Bigger than life, frankly, bigger than any human probably should be, both in personality and size. And so I think she sees that in me, and I think she loves that very much, and I enjoy it very much too.
Oh, wow. How important is it for a family to attend your shows?
Well, I think it's important my wife come to shows for all of us because she's one of the loudest laughers we have. So if it's a comedy, you need her and Dr. Joe Santangelo in the front row.
Okay.
Because they both laugh loudly at things.
Nice.
And as an actor, that's the feedback you're looking for, and it prompts other people to laugh, even if they weren't sure it was funny. They suddenly find it funny, right? So,
So true.
So, but yeah, I mean, my mother lives over by Gladwin. My sister lives downstate, and they don't come for everything, but the shows that they've come for, and then the feedback I get from them, it means a great deal. It's really nice to have them there, and because it's not something I did when I was younger, it's something I picked up in my old age. It's been neat, and they find it neat. So,
awesome. What do you think? How important is it that family's there?
It's hugely important to me when I know that they're coming, or sometimes you catch a glimpse of them in the audience. It just feels really special. The theater is such a big part of my life. It's such an important piece that when they come and support that, it just means the world to me.
I allow other people in my life to not care about theater and to never come see me. You know, people who work for me, I love it when I see them, but I'm never going to force somebody to see theater if you're not into it.
Right.
My family has to see me.
Oh!
There's one requirement in my family, and it's to see every terrible show or wonderful show I'm in. And in fact, they measure them all against the worst show I ever did, which was, I can't even remember. We just call it the Cheese Show. We will never do it in Cadillac as long as I have anything to say about it, but they have to come to the shows, and then they have to say at least something decent about how I did. So
It's all required?
Very few Baumann family requirements for me, and that's it. Yes.
What would you say to somebody? Jay mentioned, getting into theater, during dinner of his life, not salad of his life. Oh, no, easy. You're still young. But what would you say to someone in our audience that's thinking, I want to audition, but I just don't know if I've got the chops, and I just don't know what would you tell them?
Well, of course I would tell them, just come give it a try. I've had multiple comments, 2 shows I've directed in the last year, to 2 summer shows I did. I've had multiple comments of people that said this was the most friendly audition environment that they could imagine. They expected it to be a little more, serious. We clap for each other. We say, great job. There's lots of smiles. There's lots of encouragement, not just from the directing team, but from everybody in the room. I think that Footliters does a fabulous job of welcoming every person, every level. Nerves. We all have nerves. I have crazy nerves when I audition, and I've done quite a few shows, and I know Joe does too, and he's done, 50. So I say, come give it a try.
What would you say, Jay?
I couldn't say it any better than that. I love auditioning. My nerves are more, I compare my nerves for auditioning similar to competing in a sport.
Okay.
But I love auditioning. I don't know why. I think but I love the unknown of it, and the just trying it and making different choices and whatever.
Okay, so real back to the sport thing. Is this adrenaline? It's adrenaline that's running through
maybe
you?
A little bit. Yeah, maybe. It could also be that I was a sports ball person a lot longer than I was a theater person. So it's still halftime, not intermission. It's still a locker room, not a dressing room. I can't get rid of that. Yeah, I can't get rid of that. So first quarter, first half, second half, whatever. But no, I think, as Kelly said, every audition I've been to with Footliters has been very welcoming. It's been, everybody cheers everybody else on, even if that person is competing for the role that you want. You're still, encouraging them and hoping that they do well. Maybe not quite as well as you. I'm looking at Joe as I say that. But certainly, it's a friendly group. It's a encouraging group. And I would encourage anybody to do it. It's worth a try. That you'll meet new people. And like Joe said earlier, there's a role for everybody. So even if you're not sure about what you think about being on stage, just get involved in some way. See how it goes. Watch the process. maybe there's something in there for you related to lights. Maybe there's something in there related to sound. Maybe there's something, I mean, the stage crew is so vital, and we don't always have enough people doing that sort of thing. You know, there's all of those pieces have to be well-oiled and going well for the show to do well. So it's important, and if you have any interest whatsoever, just come out.
Joe, I think the next logical question is, since we're talking about auditions, do you have the next auditions for the next production scheduled at this time yet?
Well, you know, we don't, because it's a little interesting how this year is going to play out, actually. So as I mentioned, Tony and Tina's Wedding is a special fundraising event for the Footlighters in January. It's a 2-night event at Fox Hill, part of our deal with Blue Heron when they bought our property right next door to Blue Heron. And so we're excited about that, but that is going to play out a little bit more precast. Sally Goggin, who is our director, has cast the show, or most of the show. And so our next auditions won't be until January, probably. So it's a great opportunity to keep an eye looking forward. And I think the one that I would add on to for Kelly and Jay is the most welcoming and greatest opportunity to just stand in the back and be part of it is Matilda. I think there will be great opportunities for 50 plus people to be involved, and we're always looking for new people. One stat I love almost more than any other one, and I use it every time in some other way, is what percentage of people are brand new to us or brand new to theater. And for Mamma Mia, it was upwards of 40% people new to Footlighters and 25% new to theater at all. And so just know that you're not walking into a bunch of people who have done 50 shows. You're walking into a group of people who are doctors, lawyers, accountants, you know, customer service people, whatever, who do this for fun and who are just looking to have a good time and maybe patronize some of our restaurants in town together and have a togetherness opportunity. And at the same time, do something that's really incredible quality that people maybe haven't seen or have seen inconsistently. That's what we're building. That's the culture that we want people to see, and that's what I want people to feel when they show up.
Dates, times, and locations for the 39 Steps.
39 Steps, September 23 and 24 at 7 p.m., then the 30th of September at 7 p.m., and then October 1st at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. You can get tickets at CadillacFootlighters.com or at our outlets at Brinks and Horizon here in the next day or so from when we're recording this. So by the time anybody hears it, they should be there at our outlets.
Okay, very good.
Thank you so much for the energy you bring to Cadillac. You guys amaze me.
Joe Baumann, Kelli Simons, and Jay Simon from the Cadillac Footlighters. Next week on Cadillac Unscripted, it's CAP Superintendent Jennifer Brown. We're looking forward to it. Cadillac Unscripted is sponsored by Independent Bank on 107.9 CDY.